There is a single idea, developed over 2,000 years ago by a former slave, that has been used by Roman emperors, Renaissance thinkers, modern neuroscientists, and Navy SEALs, and most people have never heard it stated clearly. It is not a motivational quote. It is not a productivity hack. It is a fundamental rule about reality, and once you understand it, you will never think about stress, failure, or control the same way again. The rule is this: some things are up to us, and some things are not. That's it. 4 words. 4 words that, if you actually internalize them, will change the architecture of how you think. Let me explain why. In the year 50 AD, a boy was born into slavery in what is now Western Turkey. His name was Epictetus. He had no freedom, no rights, no future that he could choose for himself. At some point during his life as a slave, his master, reportedly out of cruelty, broke his leg. Epictetus did not scream. He did not resist. He simply said calmly, "I told you it would break." And then he got back to thinking, because Epictetus had already discovered something that his master, for all his power, had not. He had discovered that there are 2 categories of experience in life, and that confusing them is the source of almost all human suffering. Category 1, things that are up to us. Our judgments, our values, our desires, our responses, our effort, our attention. These are ours completely. No one can take them. Category 2, things that are not up to us. Our bodies, our reputations, other people's opinions, the economy, what happens to us, how others behave, whether we succeed or fail by external measures. These are not ours. They never were. Epictetus called this distinction the dichotomy of control, and he was ruthless about it. He taught that freedom, real freedom, comes not from controlling your circumstances, but from knowing exactly which circumstances you were never meant to control. Now, here's where most people get this wrong. When you first hear this idea, it sounds like resignation, like passivity, like you're being told to stop trying, stop caring, stop fighting for outcomes. That is not what Epictetus meant. That is almost the opposite of what he meant. What he meant was this: the moment you attach your peace of mind to something outside your control, you have handed a stranger the keys to your mental state. You have made your well-being contingent on something that can be taken from you at any moment. Think about how you spent your mental energy last week. How much of it went toward worrying about what someone else thought of you? About a result you couldn't guarantee? About traffic? About the weather? About someone's reaction to something you said? All of that, every single moment of it, was spent on category 2, on things not up to you. The data on this is unambiguous. Research from the University of California found that people who report the highest levels of anxiety are not those with the most difficult lives. They are those with the greatest mismatch between what they are trying to control and what is actually controllable. The suffering is not in the circumstance. It is in the misclassification. Marcus Aurelius, who happened to be the most powerful man on earth, the emperor of Rome, kept a private journal. He never intended it to be published. It was a daily practice of reminding himself of Epictetus's rule. Page after page of the most powerful man alive telling himself, some things are up to you, most things are not. Focus only on the first category. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This was not philosophy for him. It was operational. Rome was constantly under threat, from barbarian invasions, from plague, from political enemies, from drought. Marcus could not control any of it. What he could control was how he showed up to each decision, each day, each crisis. And that discipline, that precise daily application of the dichotomy, is what historians credit with keeping the empire together during some of its most chaotic decades. Here is the practical version, the one you can use starting today. Anytime you notice tension, anxiety, frustration, anger, resentment, pause and ask yourself a single question. Is this about something in Category 1 or Category 2? If it's Category 2, something not up to you, your job is not to fix it. Your job is to disengage from it emotionally and redirect your energy to what is in your control, your response, your preparation, your next action. If it's Category 1, something genuinely up to you, then stop worrying about it entirely and simply do the work. The rule eliminates a whole category of suffering that most people carry their entire lives without ever questioning. Worry about outcomes you cannot guarantee, anxiety about how you are perceived, frustration at people who won't behave the way you need them to. These are all Category 2 problems that the brain is treating as Category 1 problems, and that misclassification is the source of the suffering, not the circumstances themselves. Epictetus eventually earned his freedom. He opened a school in Rome and later in Greece. Students came from across the empire, senators, military officers, the sons of aristocrats, to sit in a simple room and learn from a man who had owned nothing, suffered everything, and arrived at a kind of clarity that wealth and power had never produced. His most famous student wrote down his lectures. That record survived 2,000 years. You are listening to it right now. The Stoics called this the rule above all other rules, not because it is the most complex, but because it is the one idea that, once understood, makes every other aspect of self-mastery possible. Some things are up to us. Most things are not. Draw that line clearly, hold it daily, and watch how little power the world has to disturb you. If this landed for you, the next video is going to go even deeper into why the brain is neurologically wired to blur that line and the specific practice that rewires it. That one is worth waiting for. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.